the Ainul Kalima has a Fatha or Kasra, then Hamzatul Wasl is rendered a Kasra in both cases. Either Ainul Kalima has Fatha or has Kasra. Example of Fatha is Taftahu is a second person Hadir Sila of Fi'l al-Mudari. We want to make imperative second person. We delete the Ta, which is Alamatul Mudari, first step. Following letter is Sakin. We need Hamzatul Wasl. We saw the Ainul Kalima, it has Fatha, so we put Hamzatul Wasl Maksur, and we rendered Sukun to the last letter, it become Iftah. An example of the Kasra of Ainul Kalima as Tadribu. When we want to make imperative or Amr Hadir, we delete the Ta, following letter is Sakin, we need Hamzatul Wasl, we insert it, and then we saw Ainul Kalima has Kasra, so we put Kasra also upon the Hamzatul Wasl. We render Sukun to the last Kalima, last letter, and it become Idrib. These are the steps which must be taken for making imperative second person, Amr Hadir. And then the Noonul I'rab is deleted when we make Amr. And Noonul Niswa, the Noon of Jama' Mu'annath, it is retained and remain. For example, Taf'alani, Tathniya Sigha of the second person. When we want to make Amr imperative second person, we deleted the Ta, then we brought Hamzatul Wasl Maksur because Ainul Kalima has Fatha. And then here the sign of Sukun is deleting and removing the Noonul I'rab, which is Noon Tathniya. So when we remove and delete that Noon Tathniya, it should be the sign of Jazm. So it become If'ala. Rather the Noon of Jama' Mu'annath is remain same. So Taf'alna, it become If'alna. And then similarly, if you remember, we discussed also in Huruf Jazima. This point, which we're going to discuss now, the Harful Illa at the end is deleted. It means that if the Ainul Kalima, the Lamul Kalima is a Harful Illa, so then it should be deleted and it remain Ud'u. For example, Tad'u, it remain Ud'u. Tarmi, it remain Irmi. And Takhsha, it remain Ikhsha. The imperative of first and third person, all the points we discussed, these were related to the imperative second person. And now they are going to discuss the imperative first and third person. The Amr, Al-Ghaib and Al-Mutakallim is constructed and formed by adding a Lam at the beginning of Fi'al Mudari, which called Lamul Amr. And this Lam always should be the Maksur. This Lam has the same effect on the verb as a Lam, because this Lam is among the Huruf Jazima. Lamut Ta'kid and Noonut Ta'kid, Lam of emphasis or Noon of emphasis, can also be attached to the Amr word forms. And then you have the table of the Al-Amr Al-Ma'ruf and then Al-Amr Al-Majhul. I just recite and read the ones for you to you correct your pronunciation even. Al-Amr Al-Ma'ruf liyaf'al, liyaf'ala, liyaf'alu, litaf'al, litaf'ala, liyaf'alna. If'al, if'ala, if'alu, if'ali, if'ala, if'alna. Li'af'al, linaf'al. And Al-Amr Al-Majhul liyuf'al, liyuf'ala, liyuf'alu, lituf'al, lituf'ala, liyuf'alna. Lituf'al, lituf'ala, lituf'alu, lituf'ali, lituf'ala, lituf'alna. Li'uf'al, linuf'al. Because the style and the way of constructing of Amr Hadir, imperative second person, is completely different than the third person and the first person. So because of that, in some books of the Sarf, even the table of the both, the imperative second person, Amr Hadir, and the ghaib, the third person and the first person, they should be written in a different ways. The table of the imperative second person is written different and separate, and that third person and the first person is written separate. But you can merge them both as same way as they did. And then nun thaqila and khafifa both added with it. With nun thaqila, the gardan of al-amr al-ma'ruf, it should be liyafa'alanna, liyafa'alanni, liyafa'alunna, litafa'alanna, litafa'alanni, liyafa'alnanni. Ifa'alanna, ifa'alanni, ifa'alunna, ifa'alinna, ifa'alanni, ifa'alnanni. Liyafa'alanna, linafa'alanna. And majhul liyufa'alanna, liyufa'alanni, liyufa'alunna, litufa'alanna, litufa'alanni, liyufa'alnanni. Litufa'alanna, litufa'alanni, litufa'alunna, litufa'alinna, litufa'alanni, litufa'alnanni. Liyufa'alanna, linufa'alanna. And with nun khafifa, al-amr al-ma'ruf, liyafa'alan, liyafa'alun, litafa'alan, if'alan, if'alun, if'alin, liyaf'alan, linaf'alan. Same as in al-fi'l al-mudari, we discussed that nun khafifa doesn't enter in the sighas of tathniya. So because the same thing is happen also here in the amr. Just in 8 sighas, the nun of khafifa is enters. And in al-amr al-majhul ma'a nun al-khafifa, liyufa'alan, liyufa'alun, litufa'alan, litufa'alan, litufa'alun, litufa'alin, liufa'alan, linufa'alan. And beware also that the construction and the word form of the second person or al-amr hadir is different just in the active tense. Al-amr al-hadir al-ma'ruf. Rather in the al-amr al-hadir al-majhul is even second person, third person and first person, they should be the same way. That's the difference between the both. And then in the end you have the exercise number 11. Some questions, some gardans which give you a chance to get more command upon the topic. Just you have to conjugate these following verbs. First active and then passive using the lamut ta'kid and nunut ta'kid. So for example, see yaghsilu. First you have to make imperative from yaghsilu, hadir, ghaib and mutakallim, first, second and third person, and then conjugate the complete gardan, first without noon of ta'kid and lam of ta'kid, and then using the noon ta'kid. And even here they wrote lam ta'kid, which is not correct. You know, the lam of ta'kid or lam of emphasis is just enter on the fi'l al-mudari'. First we was right, sorry. That the lam of ta'kid, which is maftuh, is just enter on fi'l mudari'. Here the lam which you have, it is lamul amr, and it just enter on the amr. So when the lam of amr is entered, so lam of ta'kid doesn't be entered. So it's mistake in the book, so please make it correct. And in exercise, just you have to complete and conjugate the gardan using the noon of ta'kid, because the lam of ta'kid doesn't enter on the amr. It just enter on the fi'l al-mudari, because lam ta'kid is maftuh, and the lam which is le yafa'alanna or le yufa'alanna, this is lamul amr. It is not lam of ta'kid. Lam ta'kid is maftuh. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.